I should say that though this is the exact rifle that was used by the US Army in the 1970s, this particular example is not a US Army rifle. It is not marked property of the US government, which the Army rifles would have been marked as. This is actually an export model. It was produced for the export market, but in all other ways it's exactly the same as the US Army rifles. Hello guys, thanks for joining me. Today I thought I'd do a video on my new deactivated M16A1 rifle that I bought recently. And it's a UK and European Union specification deactivation, so some of you might be interested to have a look at the newest deac specifications, as I say. But anyhow, it's a 1970s M16A1 rifle here. It came out in 1966 and they were used by the US Army up until the early 1980s when it was superseded by the M16A2. But they continued in use up until the mid-80s with the Army. It's quite an old design. It came out in the late 1950s, 65 years ago in fact. It was produced by Eugene Stoner to fire a hunting cartridge by Remington, a .223 cartridge. And it was subsequently bought in some numbers by the US Air Force initially, and then the US Army adopted it in the early 60s. The British also bought about 10,000 of these back in about 1961. So it was quite a successful rifle to begin with. There were some issues with it in Vietnam, which I'm not going to go into, basically to do with cleanliness and also change of propellant in the cartridges. But anyhow, this is the 1966 modified version of the M16, and this particular one here is dated between 1977 and 1980, going by the serial number. So we'll just have a quick look at it. It's quite a small rifle. It has a 20-inch chromed barrel. The actual rifle itself is just under 39 inches in length. It fires a 5.56 by 45 millimeter round. As I say, it started off as a commercial round. The military adapted it as the M193 round. And this is my particular example here. It's in pretty good shape. The early M16s and up until the 1970s were issued with this particular sling. It's not actually a M16 sling, it's a M1 Garand sling. These were introduced in 1944 and they were also produced in the Korean War, so it could be 1944 or 45 data, but it's more likely to be an early 1950s sling. There is a marking on the sling. It says MRT, which is not the manufacturer. It actually says, or it actually means mildew resistant treatment, which means it's been treated for mildew in November 1952, so the sling is at least 1952, if not earlier. It's quite a noisy sling. So you see a lot of photographs of soldiers in Vietnam either changing these slings to something else or taking the slings off completely. Has the second pattern bird cage flash suppressor on the front. It's quite a light rifle. It only weighs about 6 pounds empty, about 8 pounds with a 30-round magazine in it. It's basically made out of aluminum alloy. The barrel is steel. The internals, the bolt obviously is steel, but the receiver there is aluminum, and the furniture is made out of plastic, black plastic, as you can see. So the front sight is in the tower there. So there's a post there. It can be adjusted to height. That's the gas port here. It's a gas recoil operated rifle. So the gas that pushes the bullet down the barrel, some of it is redirected up here, goes into the receiver, pushes the bolt back. So having a look on this side, we've got the controls here for the fire selection. So we got safe, semi-automatic and full automatic there. quite nice positive locks. That's a bolt release button there. The bolt locks back on an empty magazine, so it pops up, and to release the bolt you press down, or you would have pressed down. It doesn't work on now, obviously there's no bolt in it. Has a 20 round magazine, and on full automatic you could empty a 20 round magazine in 1.4 seconds. So I guess all of us seen all these action films in the 70s and 80s where you had the bad guys running around with one of these rifles having a 20-minute firefight without changing the magazine on full auto. Well, that doesn't happen. You press full auto on this thing, it empties in 1.4 seconds. There are markings on this side here. There's the Prancing Horse logo of Colt M16A1, caliber 5.56 millimeters, and the serial number. And there's the address, Hartford, Connecticut, USA address for the Colt company. So we'll just turn it over. On this side we've got the forward assist, and we've got the magazine release. The rifle came with a crappy magazine. As you can see, it's been cut down quite badly. It's missing a couple of bits on the inside, but luckily I've got a magazine which I had since 1979. This is a magazine I found when I was a army brat. Has a couple of dummy rounds in it, and it works quite nicely. So there's no markings on this side here except the CS for the manufacturer of the plastic furniture. On top here you've got the windage adjustment for the aperture side. There's a aperture sight, two sides. One is for about up to 200 or so yards, and the other one is from about 300 yards onwards. The I guess the effective range of these rifles is about 500 yards. You can see about the 300-500 range. Sight has an L on the bottom. There's a hole here that would have been used for clipping on a scope. For example, the Starlight night scopes that they were using at that time. A bit difficult doing it one-handed, but we've got the charging handle up here. You press down the left bit here, it is hooked onto the receiver there. It just prevents the charging handle being pulled accidentally. So otherwise I need to take the magazine out because it doesn't charge with dummy rounds on it. So we'll just put on the empty magazine, and you'll see it does bring back the bolt. Well, it's only the bolt carrier. The actual bolt is obviously not in the rifle anymore. You can see it runs on a piece of metal there that's gone into the barrel. So I mean, this is totally deactivated. You won't be able to chamber any rounds into it, but it still has the function of the original. So I'll show you that option in a minute. That was introduced with the M16A1 as a result of the dirty sticky residue that came off the cartridges back in Vietnam. It is to enable the bolt to close forward onto our chambered round. You can see the remains of the gas tube here. It's been removed, otherwise it would have come up here and gone into the receiver up there. That you can see the hole that it would have gone into. Otherwise it still has the front sight and back sight. The rifle here does actually break into two, so pushing that little button there, it's a little pin, pushes through. You can pull the pin out, and that breaks the rifle, as you can see. So Just going to take out the magazine. So it's a bit difficult to see, but there's nothing inside the bottom receiver. The automatic shear, the shear, and the hammer have all been removed. And on the top you can see the bolt carrier, but the actual bolt is gone. Anyhow, I'm just going to move the bolt carrier back a bit, and you can see a series of little grooves on the side of the bolt carrier, and that is what the forward assist grips into. So you can see, you press that in, it pushes the bolt forward. Otherwise, in the back here is the recoil spring and buffer. So I'm just going to show you something to be used for cold weather use, and it enables you to remove the bottom of the trigger guard. So if you press in that little pin there, it releases a pin and you can pull down the trigger guard, and it means you'll be able to use the trigger with a gloved hand. Another feature with the M16A1 is that they introduced a cleaning kit into the back of the butt, and it's accessed by a little compartment here. As you can see, there's a little compartment in the back here that would have contained the cleaning kit originally. Another item that came with the rifle is that pouch here. It's just a nylon pouch, came into use in the early 1970s, and it contains the XE3 bipod. The bipod is just a sheet metal clip-on bipod. It would have been used by the section support rifleman in a squad. The typical American squad had about 10 men in it, and one man was designated the automatic rifleman, and he would have used the tripod on the M16 as a section support weapon, much as the British used the light support weapon, or the LSW SA-80. Anyhow, I'll just clip it on and we'll have a look at that. So that's a rifle with the bipod. Makes quite a nice example. The bipod wasn't too popular with soldiers, and by the early 70s it basically disappeared out of use. But it's nice to have the setup here, as it would have been used back in the early 1970s. So anyhow, I'll leave it at that. That's my deactivated Colt M16A1 rifle. Hope you enjoyed that video, and as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.